Agreed that table shuffleboard is not high profile. It's an underground, almost surreptitious game, but there's an awful lot of it. If you look, almost every weekend, somewhere on the continent, there's a shuffleboard tournament. While the prize might be a plaque or something, the real action is on the side, gambling for big money.
And where there's money, there are hustlers. Yes, even in shuffleboard. Young men eager to match their skill against anyone with a few loose dollars. Tonight, the Journal's Tom Alderman reports on the big-time world of shuffleboard and the Knights of the Long Table.
When the door swings open and this one comes in, beware. Right here, in this neighborhood Winnipeg Tavern, Harold Schmidt can kill you. Which explains why heads snap to attention when Schmitty turns up, carrying the deadly tools of his trade. Gentlemen, hide your wallets. You are about to be hustled by one of the best. Welcome to the world of tavern shuffleboard, a world as tough and mean and ruthless as high-stakes poker or big-money billiards. You're laughing. Shuffleboard, you're thinking. That quaint old game played mainly in dank legion halls. That shuffleboard? Tough and mean and ruthless? But the only difference between it and big money games are that its triumphs and its tragedies, its romance and its legends are not writ large every day on the sports pages. Shuffleboard players like Harold Schmidt thrive mainly on the prairies, where it's a beer hall game that can break your heart and your bankroll. And here's Schmidt's partner in the hustle, Don Heaton, ex-Canadian champ. He won a nice plaque for that feat, but plaques don't interest him anymore.
Now money is at times a way of keeping score. It's my type of action. I enjoy playing for the money. The more money, the better. I play for the money more so than the sport of the game now. That's my way of getting action. To me, it's more important.
It's tough being a hustler with a dwindling supply of hustlees. Table shuffleboard used to be the tavern game of choice. Now there are other divertissements luring young men from the fine art of tossing a 12-ounce rock along 15 feet of pine table. So many distractions.
It's like anything. It has peaks and valleys. I think it peaked for me like when I first started playing 10, 11 years ago. I think it's slowly digressed, and now like it's sort of a valley. I think it's on the upswing.
It's not too clear what a gambling man like Heaton, known as the Heat, actually does for a living. But he seems to put in a lot of hours standing over a hot shuffleboard. A strange way to put a college business degree to use. Schmidt, at least, seems to have a trade, carpentry, which he largely ignores for the lure of the tables. But it's not easy hustling a game when they all know you. Everyone wants an edge.
Give me the hammer, first hand, play for 10.
If I give you the hammer, we gotta play for 50.
Jerry, I want to talk to you.
So we're gonna have a game or what?
Yes.
How much?
50 and in.
Okay. Money up.
I'll put it up.
Money up.
I want you. I want you.
Money up.
A willing pigeon, though not a soft touch. There are about 50 top players in Canada, half of them in Winnipeg. No easy kills in this town. They start at around 100 a game and work their way up. Thousands could be won and lost before the night's over. At this income level, that's big money, riding on the finesse with which you play a game a little like miniature curling. The good players know each other well, and Schmitty knows this one's weakness, his right hand. So he arranges it that most of his rival's shots have to be made with his right. The opponent is quickly defeated. A respectable win, but not big money, not like the old days.
You walk into a bar or tavern these days, and there's, these guys just sitting around. They're not that interested in playing for any bucks. They're just happy to play for a beer. And if you want to play some good players, you got to go to the tournaments. You got to move around.
On the road with Schmitty and the Heat, looking for fresh money in out-of-the-way places where no one knows them too well. There's a small tournament 5 hours due west in Saskatchewan, a chance to tangle with other local heroes itchy to test their talents in a financially meaningful way.
I've won all the major tournaments. I've won the Open, the Closed, I've won the Canadian Championship. That bores you. Once you've done it, what else is there to accomplish? You've beaten everybody. So now what you do is you go around looking for people who are in the same situation. They've been bored by it. They're not crazy in the tournaments. I'm looking for people who want action.
Everybody knows what a hustler does. He sucks them in.
No, I'm not sucking nobody in. They're trying to suck me in. I'm from out of town. I don't know these boards. I don't know these players. They all think they're great.
And so, our two innocents arrive at the tiny resort community of Fort Capel, just east of Regina. There to do battle for a tavern tournament prize of $500. With some of the other heavyweights of a fine old game in its twilight. Though that $500 prize is nothing, the real money gets made in side bets and games outside tournament hours.
One. Good morning. How do you?
Which explains why our heroes do a lot of homework during the tourney warm-up, sizing up the strengths and weaknesses of the competition. Heaton even makes notes. See, a college degree comes in handy sometimes. This game isn't just stepping up to the table and throwing rocks. You need strategy.
If we come down from this hand, it breaks into the right and it'll fall back and down the rail. It's a really difficult left-hand roll shot. But
Field generals discussing battle plans couldn't be more analytical than these two.
So if we can work the hammer to my hand, we'll be able to exploit their weaknesses and should be able to blow these fellows.
Well, if the game starts and over the hammer, I'll make sure he's got a one in there then.
To business then. Our heroes are centuries of the game shared equal space on the sports pages with baseball and horse racing, and top players were revered personalities. Now just about the only applause they get is from each other.
Highway. Let's go. Babe!
The real business, though, is beating the bushes for the loose money in town, Heaton's specialty.
Maybe you can kind of spread the word around. We're interested, and maybe some of the people here are. We can get together.
Oh, I don't know, $50 or something like that?
Harold does his bit of research as well. He hungers for a money game, no matter how exotic the stakes, and they can get pretty exotic.
It's a good idea. What do you weigh?
170.
Okay, I weigh 280. I'll tell you what, I'll go you $5 a pound. That's what, $550? That's the 7?
Sounds good.
That's the 7?
There's an art to sniffing out a potential pigeon, and Heaton has had an unerring nose for it since his college days 10 years ago. Ah, there's a prospect.
If you want them to actually approach you, I would prefer someone coming up to me. It's like anything. If you get them to feel that they're kind of pulling a hustle on you, things just fall into place a little easier. Kind of let them think they're in control of the situation. You know, a little something.
Possibly be arranged.
Well, you know, we'll make it, interesting, and I guess, like I say, it's a long wait in between games.
Meanwhile, during the tournament, things start to go sour for our boys. They're not used to these tables, unlike the locals. And because loose money seems scarce, they may need that $500 jackpot to help defray their bar bills.
Even if you throw another one in here, it's like if he doesn't do anything, throw another one in so he doesn't get a double.
No kidding.
Oh, a little sarcasm creeping into the camaraderie. A hint things are going downhill. No more high fives. Our boys are fighting for their reps as well as the money.
This guy's going to have some free hammers. Crack a deuce again. If you get a chance to work, can you work his right? He likes to throw his left. Why don't you try working his right, even though it doesn't bend in?
The locals would love to whip these big city hot dogs from Winnipeg at their own hustling game. And our boys unwillingly accommodate them. Beaten in the tourney. And more serious, out-hustled in some of the side bets. They're only up a few hundred. They were hoping for a couple of thousand this weekend.
He lost game. I couldn't even if I got lucky, made a shot like that, big deal. He could just, because I couldn't make a shot somewhere else on the board.
Recriminations over a beer. When you spend 10, 12 hours at a stretch at the tables, you better have a large capacity for beer and recriminations.
Think. Take your time.
Vinny, how many times did you ever win a game when it counted?
No. All you have to do is take your time.
A midnight pause to freshen up and bicker some more.
Throw a deuce. Do you ever see him throw it? Never mind who won what.
Tell me how many times.
You ever see him throw a deuce?
Look, this is useless. I'm not just getting this an argument. It's pointless. You don't understand. I talked to you for 2 days. I talked to you for 10 years.
That's
you don't
right.
understand the game.
All I'm doing is taking his rock out.
He puts it in the center of the fucking board. I told you this.
Okay, show me the fucking board.
Here's the board.
Here.
You put one in the house.
What's he going to do? He's going to stick it, or he's going to try to, and then you ignore it and you come this way, you switch the hammer. I don't.
What do you mean come this way? Throw in the center of the board.
Okay, where does he put his first rock?
Right there. Here's the fall line.
Okay, he puts it there. Where do you put your rock?
Here's the one line. He puts it there. I take it out. I move it out.
Why do you take it out? If you want to switch the hammer.
Because the only spot.
Why do you not put a rock in play that he has to hit? Well,
what do you mean, why?
Take your time. Think about this. I've only asked you this for 10 years. Why do you not put
You
a rock
only
in
asked me
play?
this for 10. Listen. I was doing good. I was doing good.
Hold it. This is irrelevant. We just lost the game. We have to concentrate on what's ahead of us. We can still
You got
salvage.
2 rocks.
We can salvage the weekend.
4 a.m. back at the bar. Everyone's gone home, except the shuffleboard players. One last money game. As long as there's action, Schmitty and the Heat will be there, offering the hustlers 24-hour service. They do decently enough, but not as much as they hoped for. No matter. They'll make it up next week, or the week after, maybe even in your town, going home with the dawn and all the loose money in town, and probably the gold fillings in your teeth. I'm Tom Alderman for the Journal in Fort Capel, Saskatchewan.
Now, looking ahead,